Ayes 39, nays 23.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1995 by Member of the Assembly Otis, Assembly Print 9694, an act to amend the tax law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. In relation to calendar 1995, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Bonasek, Carlucci, Croce, Gallivan, Golden, Griffo, Hannan, Kaminsky, Kennedy, Lanza, Larkin, Laval, Marcelino, Martins, Murphy, O'Mara, Ort, Ranzenhofer, Ritchie, Serino, Venditto, and Young. Ayes 39, nays 23.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1996 by Member of the Assembly Paulin, Assembly Print 9690, an act to amend the tax law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Okay.
Results.
In relation to calendar 1996, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Bonasek, Carlucci, Croce, Gallivan, Golden, Griffo, Hannan, Kaminsky, Kennedy, Lanza, Larkin, Laval, Marcelino, Martins, Murphy, O'Mara, Ort, Ranzenhofer, Ritchie, Serino, Venditto, and Young. Ayes 39, nays 23.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1997 by Member of the Assembly Otis, Assembly Print 9693, an act to amend the tax law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Results.
In relation to calendar 1997, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Bonasek, Carlucci, Croce, Gallivan, Golden, Griffo, Hannan, Kaminsky, Kennedy, Lanza, Larkin, Laval, Marcelino, Martins, Murphy, O'Mara, Ort, Ranzenhofer, Ritchie, Sereno, Venditto, and Young. Ayes 39, nays 23.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1998 by Member of the Assembly Fahy, Assembly Print 9713, enactment Chapter 405 of the laws of 2005.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Results.
In relation to calendar 1998, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Croce, Griffo, Kaminsky, Lanza, Larkin, Marcelino, Martins, Murphy, Ranzenhofer, Ritchie, and Venditto. Also Senator Golden. Also Senator Young. Also Senator Hannan. Also Senator Bonasek. Ayes 46, nays 16.
The bills passed.
Calendar number 1999 by Member of the Assembly Rozak, Assembly Print 9870, enact amend the Civil Service Law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 2000 by the Assembly Committee on Rules, Assembly Print 10668, enact amend the Private Housing Finance Law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 61, nays 1, Senator Ort recorded in the negative.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 2001 by Member of the Assembly Murray, Assembly Print 10014A, an act in relation to granting.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 61, nays 1, Senator Ort recorded in the negative.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 2002 by Member of the Assembly Skoufis, Assembly Print 9776, enact amend the tax law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. In relation to calendar 2002, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Bonasek, Carlucci, Croce, Gallivan, Golden, Griffo, Hamilton, Hannan, Kaminsky, Kennedy, Lanza, Laval, Marcelino, Martins, Murphy, O'Mara, Ort, Ranzenhofer, Ritchie, Sereno, Venditto, and Young. Ayes 39, nays 23.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 2003 by Senator Valesky, Senate Print 7553A, an act amending the Environmental Conservation Law.
Lay the bill aside for the day.
Calendar number 2004 by Member of the Assembly Steck, Assembly Print 10248, an act to amend the Alcoholic Beverage Control Law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 60th day.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 61, nays 1. Senator Kruger recorded in the negative.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 2005 by Member of the Assembly Barrett, Assembly Print 10302, an act to amend the tax law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Results.
In relation to calendar 2005, those recorded in the negative.
Woo. Secretary will continue.
In relation to calendar 2005, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Bonasek, Carlucci, Croce, Gallivan, Golden, Griffo, Hannan, Kaminsky, Kennedy, Lanza, Larkin, Laval, Marcelino, Martins, Murphy, O'Mara, Ort, Ranzenhofer, Ritchie, Sereno, Venditto, and Young. Ayes 39, nays 23.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 2006 by Member of the Assembly Brindisi, Assembly Print 10362A, an act to amend Chapter 367 of the laws of 2013.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
Bill's passed.
Calendar number 2007 by the Senate Committee on Rules, Senate Print 8049, an act to amend the education law.
Last section.
Section 13, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
Bill's passed.
Calendar number 2008 by Senator DeFrancisco, Senate Print 8127, an act in relating to.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Results.
In relation to calendar 2008, those recorded in the negative are Senators Avella, Breslin, Carlucci, Comrie, Espaillat, Gianaris, Hassel-Thompson, Hoyleman, Kennedy, Klein, Kruger, Latimer, Martins, Panapinto, Peralta, Perkins, Rivera, Savino, Serrano, Squadron, Stewart Cousins, and Valesky. Ayes 40, nays 22.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 2009 by Senator O'Mara, Senate Print 8158, enacted amend the public health law.
Senator DeFrancisco, the bill will be laid aside temporarily. It's high, despite the fact that we have a message. There's an assembly sub on its way.
Calendar number 2010 by Senator Flanagan, Senate Print 8159, enacted amend the tax law.
The bill is high and ineligible for consideration. Will be laid aside temporarily.
Calendar number 2012 by Member of the Assembly Buckwald, Assembly Print 10,033, enacted amend the tax law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Senator Squadron to explain his vote.
I'd like to congratulate Senator Lanza for this bill.
In relation to calendar 2012, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Bonasek, Carlucci, Croce, Gallivan, Golden, Griffo, Hannan, Kaminsky, Kennedy, Lanza, Larkin, Laval, Marcelino, Martins, Murphy, O'Mara, Ort, Ranzenhofer, Ritchie, Sereno, Venditto, and Young. Ayes 39, nays 23.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 2013 by Senator Ort, Senate Print 8006, enacted amend the general business law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect on the 180th day.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 2014 by the Assembly Committee on Rules, Assembly Print 10736, enacted amend the racing pari-mutuel wagering and breeding law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Can I have some order in the House, please? Senator Bonasek to explain his vote. And again, I'm going to ask for order in the House. We were so quiet for so long. Go ahead, Senator Bonasek.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, this bill will authorize the Gaming Commission to register businesses to operate online interactive fantasy sports websites in New York. It also provides legislative findings that interactive fantasy sports requires a significant degree of skill, and as such are not games of chance, which are prohibited by the New York State Constitution and the Penal Law Section 225. Finally, it provides a regulatory structure for the offering of fantasy sports and the taxation of the proceeds from these sports. So what we're doing here is we're authorizing these sports. We're going to regulate it, we're going to monitor it, we're going to tax it, and we're going to put consumer protections in place. And let me just briefly tell you that the there will be a 15.5% tax on the gross revenue, and that will be defined as interactive fantasy sports revenue minus paid entry fees and monies paid for winnings paid out and promotional credits. And it'll amount to roughly about $5.85 million. It will all go to education. This is a three-way agreement with each house and the governor. And football season is around the corner. You're going to make a lot of New Yorkers very happy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Bonasek to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Krueger to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. If it looks like a duck, it swims like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. This is another gambling bill. This continues New York State's path into dreaming that all of our economic development and revenue problems can be solved by increasing the number of people who use all of their disposable income in different styles of gambling. Maybe we can roll them all together at a movie theater that serves liquor, and everybody can just spend their days sitting in their chairs, drinking, watching the movies, and choosing their type of online gambling. It's not a very attractive future for the state of New York. It's not really in the best interest of the people of New York. I'm particularly entertained by the resolution on our desks clarifying that if New Jersey increases some kind of gambling for themselves, we'll explore how we can do even more. I'm not even sure we could figure out how to do even more, but I'm confident we'll see more bills in the future that just continue down this rabbit hole. I vote no, Mr. President.
Senator Krueger to be recorded in the negative. Results.
Relation to calendar 2014, those recorded in the negative are Senators Amador, Carlucci, Farley, Funky, Hoylman, Klein, Krueger, Laval, Little, Marcelino, Marchone, Persaud, Sanders, Savino, Squadron, and Stewart Cousins. Ayes 40. Also Senator Espaillat. Ayes 45, nays 17.
The bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco, that concludes the non-controversial reading of Senate Supplemental Calendar 56B.
I'm going to call an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee. However, due to the lateness of the hour, we have handed out sheets, those on the Rules Committee, and by agreement, the three floor leaders are going to go into 332, put it on the record, and so we won't lose people between the two locations. If anybody objects to that and wants to come to the 332, they're certainly welcome to come and ask whatever questions they want. Immediate meeting of rules in room 332.
There's an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee and 332. I would ask members to stay close to the chamber because we're going to begin to conduct the business of the House again very shortly. The Senate will stand temporarily at ease.
Mr. President, is there
Senator DeFrancisco.
is there a rules report at the desk?
There is a rules report at the desk, and the Secretary will read.
Senator Flanagan from the Committee on Rules reports the following bills. Senate Print 8160 by Senator Flanagan, an act to amend the election law. And Senate 8163 by Senator Croce, concurrent resolution of the Senate and Assembly. Both bills reported direct to third reading.
Senator DeFrancisco.
I move to accept the rules report.
All in favor of accepting the Committee on Rules report, say aye. Opposed? The Committee on Rules report is accepted and before the House.
There is a Senate Supplemental Calendar 56C with the bills that were on this last rules report, and I'd request that you call up calendar number 2011.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 2011 by Senator Flanagan, Senate Print 8160, an act to amend the election law.
Senator DeFrancisco, there is a message of necessity from the governor at the desk. All in favor of accepting the message, say aye.
Move.
Opposed? Senator DeFrancisco?
Please read the
Continue.
last section.
Read the last section. Secretary will read.
Section 3, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Senator Squadron to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's become a little bit of a cliche as we talk about this, but the hour is late, and I know folks would like to get through this, but this is an important bill. It is an ethics bill. It has a number of reforms, a number of them worthy. Many of us have not had a great deal of time to review it, so there certainly are questions and more time would be of benefit. But the bill is before us, and I will be voting in favor of it. However, I have to say this bill does seem in some ways to be missing the point. We have an ethics crisis here in Albany. We have an ethics crisis in the legislature. We've seen the leaders of both houses involved in corruption cases in the last year. And this bill, frankly, is a little bit like taking an aspirin for a broken arm. It may make you feel a little better, but it's not going to fix the underlying problem. Because we know from those corruption cases, we know from editorial boards and good government groups across the state that the way we deal with outside income in the legislature and the LLC loophole are central to the ethics crisis that we face today. As you know, the LLC loophole allows nearly anonymous and unlimited sums of campaign contributions to flood our political system. It has figured prominently in scandals in Albany, and research and studies have shown again and again that it is used to undermine the campaign finance laws and the transparency laws that we have. This bill does nothing to address the LLC loophole. Now, you've heard me talk about this again and again and again at this year's budget, at the end of session last year, at last year's budget. In committees, I have tried again and again. It's not just me. The Assembly has passed bills to close the LLC loophole in each of the last 2 years. Just today, Speaker Hastie restated its importance while announcing this bill. The governor has put it in the last 2 budget proposals. This year, the governor put out 8, count them, 8 bills, some of which would have even let the legislature off the hook in order to move forward the LLC loophole, and yet none of them have moved in this House. Here we are, another ethics bill, another session come and gone, and in some ways it seems as though nothing has changed Although, if anyone has been watching Albany, we know that so much should have changed. The people of the state of New York know that things have changed. They are calling out for reform. They are calling out for us to stand up and say, we know we must do better. Today, we are taking a positive step, but we are leaving the most important reforms on the table. And that is because, unfortunately, this House and this majority have refused to take them up. We should be dealing with outside income. We should be closing the LLC loophole. We are not doing those things. There are things in this bill we're doing that are positive. I'll vote yes, but the job is not done. The people of New York know that we are not addressing the crisis, and unfortunately, we will have to address it again next year. I vote aye, Mr. President.
Senator Squadron to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Hoylman to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, will be voting aye on this ethics package. It is interesting. We passed a bill on fantasy sports, but I would imagine that a lot of New Yorkers think that we are actually living in a fantasy land here because they are concerned about ethics. They are concerned about reform and good government, and I don't think we've delivered today. I want to speak specifically about outside income. I carry legislation that would limit outside income to 15% of your base salary. It's modeled after members of Congress. That's what we should do in Albany. Frankly, if we had a full-time legislature, as my bill would require, maybe we wouldn't be here at 3 a.m. in the morning passing legislation. Maybe we would actually be able to manage legislation in a better fashion where we could actually have hearings, where we could actually review the bills before us in a manner that would be respectful of the important issues that we have before us at this early morning. I think that the reason fundamentally that we should have a full-time legislature, we should limit outside income, is because we report to one group of people, and that's our constituents. We shouldn't have two masters. We shouldn't have side jobs. We shouldn't have private clients. We shouldn't have an attorney-client privilege that's essentially secret, kept from our constituents. We owe it to New Yorkers to make this legislature full-time, to limit our outside income, to follow the rules that we have before us in my legislation, and I'm hopeful that next session we can take it up. Thank you very much. I'll be positive.
Senator Hoylman to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Savino to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm probably going to be the outlier in the Senate, perhaps in the entire legislature, because I am voting no on this bill for the very reasons that Senator Squadron and Senator Hoylman have articulated so well. No disrespect to the crafters of this legislation or the intention behind it, but we started out this legislative session being told that we had to do something about ethics, that we had to find a way to address the issue of corruption or the conviction of some of the members of this legislature that are no longer with us. And this is what we have been told is the solution to that. Well, quite frankly, nobody that has gone to prison or been convicted that has served in this body was convicted of anything having to do with independent expenditures. So I don't think this is the solution to it. On the face, I have serious concerns about this bill because I think it's too rushed. I think has not been enough analysis of it and the effect it could have on some entities that utilize independent expenditures, particularly labor unions. I do have a particular fondness for them. I think that we could potentially be making felons out of campaign staff innocently. And so I'm voting no in principle because I think this has to still be analyzed. The issue of Citizens United, the issue of independent expenditures is an issue that will rightly be dealt with by a duly elected Congress that will finally tackle that issue. We need to do something about ethics here in New York State. I don't think this is a solution. Again, no disrespect to anybody who participated in the development. Certainly, reducing the influence of money in politics is important, but I, in principle, am not going to vote in favor of this bill. I don't think this is the solution, and unfortunately, I may be the only one, but this time I'm voting no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Savino to be recorded in the negative. We're going to continue explanation of votes, but I also want to remind the members that we have our time restriction on the explanation of votes. Senator Kaminsky to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad we're starting to talk openly and forthrightly about ethics reform, and let's continue to do so. This does mark an extremely important step. Pension forfeiture is critically important. The public is fed up with thinking that politicians in Albany get to live by a different standard than they do. They know if they got caught stealing at their jobs, they would never get a pension and no one would think twice taking it from them. So when they see the worst politicians living off taxpayers, they are rightly fed up and angry. And it's a symbol of everything that has gone wrong. And so today we take an important step forward to say no more. No more will corrupt, convicted politicians be able to get pensions from the taxpayer. And that's an important battle in the war on corruption. But it is far, far from over. And when we look at how far we have to go and how many steps need to be taken, I sometimes wonder what people think is actually at the root of a lot of this corruption, right? Pension forfeiture, critically important. But do we not think that the threat of jail, of going to federal prison for, in a recent case, more than 10 years is not enough to deter somebody from committing a crime? So what are we going to do when we go back to our constituents and say, we think there'll be less corruption because we did X? What are we going to tell them? And the root of that and I wonder what people think is at the root of that. And part of me thinks that some people think that the root of what we have is not a problem in Albany, but a problem with overzealous prosecutors. And I think that's the exact wrong place to look. To think that a bill passed in Finance Committee that would put a leash on prosecutors after all of the corruption we've had is like something from another planet. We need to have a conversation about expanding prosecutorial powers in the white-collar arena. You know, the public corruption unit that I was proud to serve in...
Senator Kaminsky, can you conclude, please? We're on a 2-minute explanation.
Thank you. We need to do a lot more. We need to expand our powers for district attorneys so they have the powers federal prosecutors do. We need to restrict outside income. We absolutely need to close the LLC loophole. We need to give people real answers to these real problems because their faith in government is lost. Today's a good step forward. We got a mile to go. Let's all do it together. I vote in the affirmative, Mr. President.
Senator Kaminsky to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Kruger to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I have a summary, but I'm not sure any of us could actually tell you what exactly is in this bill. It became available, I believe, at 1:45 a.m. It's now 10 to 3 in the morning. Many of us have been up for 24 hours at least. I will tell you, it's a little bit like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. There's a little bit of progress. There's a little more transparency. But as my colleagues have already said as they got up and spoke, it doesn't deal with the fundamental problems of ethics violations and the fact that too many things that actually are getting people in trouble and ending up having them sent to jail, everyone here actually thinks is legal. I don't know whether all of the gambling lobbyists left the building by now, but every time there's gambling in states, there's political corruption associated within X amount of time. So I'm sure everybody was talking about how much money they were working to move for different bills this week. Was it legal? I don't know. But if we don't get money out of politics, we're just going to continue the same cycle. So out of respect for the fact that there are some things in here that I like at 3 in the morning, I'll vote for the bill, but please don't anyone have the illusion we got anything done the way the public needed us to get things done. And frankly, if we don't hurry up and figure out how we write the right bills and set the correct rules for ourselves as legislators, we'll just watch the next group get rolled out of here by prosecutors, and we'll read the newspaper stories and say, what the hell are we doing with our lives? I vote yes, Mr. President.